And we'll go ahead and move our ship in, and there we go. Let's talk about Greece.
Actually, just imagine if court battles were done with Dixper.
That would be hilarious.
So we're talking about it in clan battles, correct?
Well, you could do clan, you could do ranked, and mostly I talk about this from a ranked battle perspective because most players are playing ranked more so than clan battles, and I think you would agree that clan battles requires a certain level of precision as well with where generally to go and stuff.
Yeah, like I can tell you generally how it goes, but then if you introduce certain lineups or even a presence of CVs, then it changes quite a bit. So
Yep,
we don't even know the rule set for the next season, so
right.
whatever.
So I'd rather
No
just
point.
talk about ranked battles and even randoms we could talk about
Well,
too.
actually, I've heard that they're not going to be allowing CVs onto next clan battles, but I could be wrong.
Right.
Hey Zach, thank you for the free skin.
Huh?
You'll need to
I
know
got
what
a
tier it
skin
is,
in my
though.
crate
Oh,
from
nice.
Stream Raiders. I got the hockey tank.
Nice. Congratulations. All right, so guys, this is initial positioning. This is generally where I like to go first, and it might not be right, it might not be perfect, but this is an idea to kind of help you guys think about where to go. And this map is Greece. It's a triangle, and because of that, it's stumped a lot of players very easily. Now, destroyers. I've seen a lot of destroyers go like right here. There's a problem with going right here, and that would be this spot right there. So what's south of that middle island right there? If there's a radar cruiser over there, especially a Russian radar cruiser, that you can get screwed very easily right here. Um, you could, depending on where you go, also get shot at from over in this part of the map. So what I find is going into A is a very risky proposition for any destroyer, especially at that island. I prefer if I'm going to go into A to first go past A, and kind of like what I talked about before on Hotspot, is kind of put yourself into a position like this so that if you need to run, boom, you just hit W and run. The only time that I would go up to that rock that I was talking about earlier is if I'm in a German destroyer or a Lo Yang or Lo Yang Black or a Silly Wangy, something that's got hydro that's going to cover the majority of the cap.
It's very common for a destroyer to get trapped into A. They
Yep.
get into the cap, sometimes the other destroyer will get in there as well, and they just kind of sit there and do nothing.
Right.
In general, it seems I find that gameplay tends to be more static at A. Like ships will just stay at range, shoot each other, but it's pretty rare to see it push through A. You're more likely to see it on the B and C area just because there's so much more channels to go through and so much more room to maneuver.
Bigger mini map, you got it, Duckman. There you go. Now, on the other side of the map, this island here, I really enjoy this island. This island is fantastic. Once again, if I'm playing in a German destroyer that's got that special hydro that goes around the island, I've discovered so many ships this way, just putting my destroyer right here and waiting for them to go too far north. Very common. You'll see, especially at tier 10, you'll see a Shimakaze that'll sail up from sea, and they'll try to get to about this position because it allows them to luck chuck torps through all of BCAP. Okay? But the problem is, if they do that, I can spot them with Hydro right from that island. So, again, if I'm playing a German destroyer, that's a good spot. If I'm playing a destroyer that does not have Hydro, then I got to be more careful early on. So I'll go into the B cap, I'll get that early cap, and then I'm going to play more cautiously. I'm going to maybe go on the south side of this island just for spots, okay? If I know something is closer, then I might go behind the island because generally speaking, you want to be behind an island, especially if you're in a cruiser or that sort of deal. I might make my way over to these islands, and then I'll try to play around at these islands, but it depends heavily on what is over here for my teammates. If I don't have anybody here, I'm not going farther south in these islands. if I don't have anybody to back me up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my ship around like this, and I'm going to be looking to the left of me, okay? Which is that way for you guys. I'm going to be looking to the left of me because I want to torpedo what's coming around the corner. I want to spot what's coming up and all that good stuff. Basically, mess with whatever's going in BCAP. If I'm a gunboat destroyer, the 10 line and the 1 line are my friends, but that should be no surprise. You can play the middle spot where my FDG is right now, but I don't feel that that's a very useful position for you. So, SAT, anybody else? Have I missed anything destroyer positioning wise?
Just of note, it is common for destroyers to go to the east of the B and C area, but the islands at D8 and G8 respectively will kind of limit movement. So you have to be very careful as a destroyer when you're turning out. Otherwise, you'll perform a not sir, and if you happen to get raided by, say, a Smallland, that's going to be at least half your HP gone.
Yep. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm coming here. If I've got people with me that can benefit from my spotting, I'll go in front of this island, but I'm focused on hugging this island like this, and then I'll turn south, okay? If I don't have people supporting me, then I'm going to go behind the island. And the same holds true for the southern spawn as well. So you really need to think about where you want to go to, get you the maximum benefit. Again, if you're a destroyer, you're trying to provide early spotting for your team to hopefully benefit from. But you don't want to.
It's especially important to win the east side of B and C, and for reasons we'll probably go into when we talk about cruisers.
Oh yeah. So seeing that's probably enough talk about destroyers, let's move on to the cruisers. And I think this map more than any, it's when you play a destroyer, you have to think about where cruisers will typically go. If you're playing a battleship, you also need to think about where cruisers will typically go for other, obviously different reasons. But cruisers on this map, oh my goodness, this map is so punishing for cruisers. You have to think about very carefully where you want to position yourself. So, generally speaking, if I'm a French kiting cruiser or a Japanese kiting cruiser, you guys all would probably assume you'd want to go to the 8, 9, 10 line or 1, 2, 3 line, depending on which side you're on, and, play very carefully around islands. I have found that this island is actually a pretty decent island if you're playing a ship like a Hindenburg, where you can just kind of park yourself behind the island and lob shells at near max range into battleships and just not think. It's not going to get you wins, it'll get you damage, but you can do that. As well, a Worcester can arc over this island quite nicely with its radar and stuff too, and maybe get down into the middle of the map. So a Worcester, I wouldn't have a problem putting a Worcester here early on. Russian cruisers. There are lots of places that you can put a Russian cruiser on this map. One of my favorites is right here. Simply because, like SAT talked about, winning this flank is so important. If you've got a Stalingrad, a Moskva, a Petropavlovsk, here's a really good position for that. Another good position for... Put them in hell. Lol. Another good position for... that would be Hades on the Greece map, by the way. Another good position for Russian cruisers might be right here. Because, again, you've got this island to protect your side. You have to be careful, though, because this beach forces you out from protection. And you see how low this island is? So if you are right here in a Russian cruiser, bow down, bow south, like this, guess what? You are open to cross shots from over here. So you got to be careful. Now, there's this one piece of island that might help protect you, but right here, and maybe even past this bit, if you've...
I would not recommend this island for Russian cruisers.
Yeah, why is that?
For any cruisers, really. It's simply just too low. I found it too vulnerable. It's too vulnerable to any ship that's coming up from the B and C area.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a carrier, he'll just make your life miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just not enough protection. The south side, on the other hand, is much better. So
Yeah.
if you're
The
playing
only
sea,
Go
play
ahead.
from south, it's much better.
The only real protection you get on this island is right about where I'm at here, right? Because you've got this upper part. The problem with that is you're farther back than maybe you want to be. So that is very true. And if you got a carrier, what are you doing sitting still in a cruiser? You can't do that. And here's the view from the south end. Again, there is a beach that does put you over here, which could threaten you a little bit with some cross shots. But you've got this part up here that you can play more advanced in and be safe. So this, like we were talking about, this side is a little bit safer for you if you're going to play more up close and personal. So that's what you're getting at, right, SAT?
Yep. I
Versus,
still generally won't recommend it, but
yeah.
if you need to put a cruiser there, it's a lot safer.
Yep. And I had mentioned Russian cruisers. You could also possibly put a Des Moines up there or something if you wanted to use that to kind of make this area here a no destroyer zone with your radar. You can park it. You can park a Des Moines here, and probably do okay.
Definitely possible.
Now let's talk about the middle of the map where we see so many destroyers or cruisers going and so many cruisers dying. And that's because this map, on the mini map, this island looks like a really good place for you to, live. I mean, there's towns and all that kind of stuff, right? But the problem is, look how flat this is. So if you're a cruiser, especially if you're an American cruiser like a Des Moines or a Salem, you pull up here, kind of like what the FDG's done, and you can be overmatched from pretty much anywhere on the map with battleship rounds. That's an oof. If you, I see a lot of cruisers do this. They put their bow towards A, especially Russian cruisers, and they think that they're safe. Well, stop and take a look to your left for a second. Low spot. Low spot. You see where I'm going with that? You got to be really careful. If you're going to play cruiser and bow in, you're going to be forced to about here. Now, for a Russian cruiser, you can probably tank that with your bow. For an American cruiser, you're just going to get smacked and smacked and smacked until you die. Not only that, you've got destroyers in A that are just going to keep luck-chucking torps your way. If you're not lucky, it's a Shimakaze. So, generally, I don't like positioning cruisers here. If I'm going to play a Russian cruiser, another strong place to position could be here, along the other side of the triangle. Assuming, of course, you don't have something like a Stalingrad east that's going to smack your broadside. But late game, this is a very strong late game position for a cruiser, especially like maybe right here, because you can move up at will, you can threaten sea cap or protect it for your allies, and then you can poke around if you need to. SAT, what do you think about this middle island here for cruisers?
Yeah. From the north side, it's a trap. As per the reasons you already mentioned before, it is a highly vulnerable spot. Once you get stuck there, you are stuck there for quite a while. And it's not a good position because a battleship can easily find one of your angles and you lose 30k.
Exactly
On the
right.
south side, on the other hand, it's actually a lot better defensively because of that weird island, the mountain chain.
Yep, you
So
got these.
if you
Yep.
want,
Go ahead,
you
sorry.
can put a Des Moines or a Russian cruiser here. I still wouldn't recommend it in an early game for the same reasons, though.
I've also seen a Worcester placed over here before do really good things, like even like right about here or Smolensk or something, because it's got the ability to pull forward or reverse to get behind cover if it needs to, and it can fire over this little dip here quite effectively.
Sometimes, well, people don't always play optimally, and the last thing you want to do is have, say, a GK on the other side of that island with that's perma-hydroing you while you can't do anything about it.
Absolutely.
As the Smolensk, so probably still
Absolutely.
not recommended.
Yep. Now, the best probably place for a cruiser to go on the south side is going to be this island here. We see them do that all the time in ranked clan battles, whatever. We see Des Moines go here. We see Russian cruisers go here. The island does provide you some cover. Keep in mind, though, that if you go too far forward, you got these kind of shoals area here, and you get smacked. So you can play here. You just got to be a little careful about not pulling up too far forward. That's often the trap that we see here. Alternately, up in the northern route, I've seen a lot of Des Moines, especially, like to park themselves right here, and that can work for you with this island to protect. But you've got to keep it really close to you. Um, don't know about this.
Yeah,
No, I wouldn't go up here. This little beach forces you away.
yeah. That also those little 3 islands over there by A. You know what I'm talking about? Like
Oh,
corner of E5. Like your camera's like basically in the middle of them.
yeah, yeah. E5, right? Yeah. So we're talking about those right now.
Yeah. I tried to put my Minotaur there at one point when I was trying to raid our Minotaur. It didn't end too well for me.
So, the thing about a Minotaur, if you're a smoke Minotaur, you could put yourself like here, pop out, or even better, put yourself in a position where your bow is facing to the left, so you just hit W and get behind cover. But you could do that with the smoke cruiser.
Just
You
not so
don't.
much with the radar minnow.
Yeah, radar minnow is a totally different animal. A radar minnow is all about trapping the destroyer, and then if you absolutely need to, ducking in for cover. So a radar minnow, you almost want to do open water, come in here, and then you got to pray at this point once you get into here. So that's the only problem with that.
Is there any other kind of?
Yes,
Um,
there's 3 types of Minotaurs. There's a Smoke Minotaur, there's a Manotaur, and then there's the Dead Minotaur.
right, that's right. And often they rotate between those quite quickly. Um, Over on this side here, I've seen cruisers like to play on the 1-2 line. You can do that. The northern island over here is okay for cruisers. I've done this myself. I've parked my Des Moines and then just shot over the island, and I'm not spotted, so it's safe. Or you could do it that way too. Um, Going up to here though is extremely risky. The islands aren't that tall, and because of the shoals here, it forces you to go wide and exposed when you try to get around this flank. So this is, in my opinion, a no-go unless you've got a battleship that you're going to follow into this area. Or if you're a Russian cruiser, in which case you set yourself up to not come along this island, you just kind of push straight down and buddy up, to here. You can do that. This
You
island
see
over.
this side more in clan battles. In
Oh yes,
rank, this seems a lot. It seems somewhat less common because there's less ships and there's less. And it's just further out, so less
right.
important.
Right, exactly. Over here as well, you can play over here. The only problem with playing over here is that you're so cut off from the battle. If the enemy just leaves, it's going to take you forever to get back into it. It's kind of like the islands on Mountain Range. Not much of a reason to play it. Cruisers over here at the South Island. Look how flat this island is. This is very no good for you. So, don't play over here as a cruiser.
Yeah, it's really just to break line of sight as a destroyer.
Yep. Yep. This is where I would play as a cruiser because you've got much taller islands mountains that you can hide behind. But it's a
That's
small
one of the
island.
more common cruiser spots if they're planning to push into A.
Mm-hmm. Did they lower the height of the central island recently, or is there another version of this map with a taller central mountain? I don't think they changed the middle island at all. They did get rid of the gap here. There used to be a sword, and people would. I used to love doing this. You pop up here with like a daring or something, and you just fire right through the gaps. But sadly, that got removed, and now it's this set of islands where if you're in a destroyer, you just don't want to be here. Especially if there's a destroyer on the other side. They just proxy each other, and then you're just hoping that your team is going to kill their destroyer before you die. Good luck with that.
Yeah, it's not something you want to do in ranked or randoms. In clan battles, if you're gonna throw a destroyer in there, teams have strategies to kill the other destroyer.
Yep.
Or at least they should.
Battleships. Oh my god, battleships. This is the best map for battleships and also the worst map for battleships at the same time. Why? If you're playing ranked mode and you spawn up here on the... No, not A1. If you spawn on the northern part here, you want to head towards B with your guns pointed at A. Because almost always you've got cruisers that are trying to get to A, and they just sail broadside the whole time to you. So you can easily smack cruisers, maybe even one-hit kill them. With a couple battleships, you can smack them together. It's good times. So generally speaking, I like to see a battleship at Charlie 6, making its way towards maybe Delta 6 or Delta 7, I mean. Something like that. But generally speaking, battleships you generally don't see moving farther south than the C line or the H line, depending on the side you're on. Heading towards A in a battleship is far more tricky. Heading towards A in a battleship, because of what I just commented on before about being broadside, generally speaking, I like to play a little bit more neutral. So I'm going to play B and C borderline, and I'm going to stay flat out like this, so that if I get shot at by another battleship, I've got enough time to react and turn out. And like what SAT was saying earlier, fighting around A is typically farther back. If I had a choice between B and C or fighting at A in a battleship, I would fight at the east 100%, because this is the side that's going to win your game most of the time. That being said, if there's a lemming train going, obviously you're going to have to flip and go to A.
Random's cap setup is a lot different, so no.
In randoms, you've got A here, you've got B in the central, and C over here on the side.
Yeah. The general flow still applies to randoms.
Mm-hmm.
The C side on randoms tends to be a bit more dynamic than A. A is because of the island change, it just gets slowed down whenever one team tries to push through.
Yep.
And B is just kind of weird. It just changes because one or two person just kind of hangs around there.
What you're doing is when you're heading towards east, you're keeping your guns at A, like what I'm looking at right now, because you're looking for cross shots, right? You're looking for that shot, and I'll lower my view here. You're looking for that shot over this part of the island, the flat part, onto a cruiser or a battleship that's like over here in Gulf 4, okay? Later in the game, you're looking for shots on that safe spot south of A, that island right there, because you'll see not only destroyers, you'll oftentimes see cruisers go back here, like what SAT was saying, it holds them up. If you're playing a Yamato or something, look for a cross shot down here, and you can get some good hits that way. But again, this is initial positioning, and the battle is always going to unfold differently. So please don't play a battleship all the way back at Bravo 9. That's not going to help much. Unless, of course, the enemy pushes hard over here and you're forced to kite away. Of course, that works. Hello, Red Sneeze. So
It's a somewhat common trap for battleships to run down the 9-10 line. Like, too many battleships just kind of go there and then they AFK for 10 minutes. Meanwhile, the battle's already won on some other side.
Yep. I've seen battleships do that often. The only time that's useful is if there's a cruiser that's hugged up against this island here. You might be able to get some broadside shots on it, but I wouldn't go there.
Yeah, battleship, there's enough. It's not that far between B and C, so you'll actually often see battleships just push up on a 7 to 8 line.
Yep. Anything I forgot about battleships? Cool. Carriers. I wanted to try to save some time to talk about carriers, because carriers, this is really hard for carriers. In randoms, if you spawn battleship C flank, you should turn towards center for a bit and turn out towards C to take that same approach. You can do that. So what you're saying, Deadlies, though I think I understand correctly, if you're a battleship and you spawn all the way on the 9 line, for example, I would definitely work my way towards the center of the map for a bit, because you want to influence A. So I might make my way that way, and then I might turn and kind of put myself at the lip of this island here, assuming I've got range for A, I'd have my guns pointed at A, and hopefully you've got somebody spotting in front of you. That's why I said the lip of this island, because if you go past the island, if a destroyer makes its way through C, well, now you're food for that destroyer. But if you stay over by the lip of this island, you can still hopefully shoot over A, obviously back up if you need to, like to over here, but it's much harder for a destroyer to get to you if you put yourself at that lip. Okay, carriers. Common tactic in clan battles, common tactic in ranked battles is a CV snipe, because this map is so small, relatively speaking. And because it's so small, as a carrier, you spawn typically like right about here. And you set autopilot to move forward, so you move your autopilot forward, and you set yourself over to here. Well, guess what? Look at what you are. You're now broadside to whoever's south. So you have to be very, very careful about that with your consideration. I almost like to set my autopilot to flip me around stern on very early in the map, and then turn back south like this, and then position myself like this behind this island. Behind the island for spotting purposes, obviously, so you don't get spotted so easily. But you don't want to be so close to the island that you don't have a way out. If you beat yourself right here, you're screwed if this side pushes. So stay back a little bit, like here, or maybe a little bit farther.
If I spawn on the other side, that island over by I-7, I-8 is where I usually put mine.
That's a much better island for a carrier because it's longer and I think it's taller too. Let's head over there. If you spawn on the other flank with your carrier, you could go for I2 or B2, but one, it's closer to the action. Well, at least the northern one is compared to that island. But it really depends on what your goal is as a carrier too. Yeah, so this is a little bit of a longer island, and if I had to, I would put my carrier right about here. Again, pointed towards the middle of the map. It gives me the flexibility to move and run if I need to. If you're playing carrier, typically speaking, you're going to influence whichever side you're on. We talked about how crucial it is to win the east flank, which is why I recommend going east first. Alternately, if, like as SAT mentioned, you are expecting a, just long siege fight at A cap, you could position your carrier on the 2 line behind those little islands on the 2 line and just keep flying your planes into A to try to break that flank wide open for your team. So that's an option too. So you see this island, not too bad for carriers. Park your carrier kind of like this, give yourself an out if you need to, and you're good. SAT, any comments on carrier?
Not really. If you're not parking behind the island, just keep your carrier moving in the back.
Mm-hmm.
That way, you won't be stationary if a battleship decides to try and snipe you in the 5 seconds you're spotted.
Right. Sometimes what I've also done in carrier, I'm going back to that spawn position. Sometimes what I've done in carrier is I've just hit the S key and then launched my plane so that my carrier backs up automatically in case I do get that initial spot and stuff like that. If I'm playing a tier 8 carrier and I see an 899 division on the enemy team, you better believe that's one of the things I'm thinking about, is trying to protect myself as best as I can. Okay. Any last questions about Greece? We've got a minute left of game time. And Auroru, thank you very much for the resub for 3 months of subbing, by the way. Thank you, dude. And of course, if you have a replay you want me to cover, let me know. I'd be very happy to cover it for you. Or if you want to hold that for the next patch cycle, that's perfectly fine. Although, keep in mind with King of the Sea coming up, you're not going to see me covering that many replays. I think there's only one weekend in the entire month of October that I can cover replays because King of the Sea will not be happening for North America, and that is the weekend of October 30th and 31st. So Sunday the 31st is the only other time you're going to see me doing replays after today because of King of the Sea. So sorry about that.
Please tell us you're dressing up that day.
Why wouldn't I dress up that day?
Just making sure.
Oh, you're talking about because it's Halloween.
Oh yeah.
I might have to think about that. I might have to consider that. Okay, 15 seconds to go. Let's go ahead and move over to